Hello everyone and welcome to The Vortex, where lies and falsehoods are trapped and exposed. I'm Michael Voris. St. Francis de Sales is the patron saint of the Catholic press, among other things. He was awarded this distinction owing to his work of writing tracts about the Catholic faith and then slipping them under the doors of former Catholics who had been swept out of the church by the idiotic and evil heresy of John Calvin. For the record, all heresies are not only diabolical but also idiotic. Now, St. Francis spent 3 years, get this, barefoot, sleeping outside, eating very little, to try and reconvert the 60,000 former Catholics in a nearby region of Switzerland in the 16th century. He had initially set out with just one person, a cousin, because everyone else thought he was a nut job. His father offered him no financial support at all and even disowned him. And surprisingly, his diocese offered him no real financial support either. Go figure. Over 3 years, he trudged through the region where the villagers threw him off their property and even threw rocks at him. In the frigid winters, his feet became so frozen they would bleed as he walked through the snow trying to reclaim the lost sheep. He slept in barns when they were available and even up in a tree one bitter night to avoid the wolves. It was so frigid, in fact, on that night that after having tied himself to the branch so he wouldn't fall out, he actually had to be cut down after waking up nearly totally frozen and unable to move. This existence went on for 3 years. Eventually, even his cousin gave up and left him because Francis had not, pay attention, made even one convert after all of this. As disheartening as this must have been for him, he kept at it. Since the former Catholics would not open up the door for him, he would slip his sermons under their doors. You might say he took to the media. He wrote out his sermons by hand, hundreds of copies, and pushed them under people's doors. This is the first record we have of religious pamphlets or tracts being used to preach the truths of the faith. What Francis had not been able to accomplish in person, he was able to make progress with using the new media of his time, so to speak. By the time he returned to his home diocese, 40,000 former Catholics had returned to the faith. This kind of supernatural, grace-aided effort is what is required these days. And this is what the new evangelization, or better said, re-evangelization is all about. Convincing former Catholics or Protestant-minded current Catholics that they need to return to the church established by our blessed Lord Jesus Christ. Now, this necessarily means you have to say very clearly and unambiguously the positions and beliefs held by former or bad Catholics are wrong. While the principle of what St. Francis de Sales did still applies, it must be executed in a totally different way. While human nature itself hasn't changed, never does, the theater that human nature operates in has changed. There's a whole different world facing us faithful Catholics, and it's facing us square in the face. Rampant sex, technology, and so forth. We might not be able to get through the front doors, but this technology has made it possible for us to not have to go through the front door. The diabolical has effectively figured this out, just bypassing the front door and coming into people's homes through the electronic portals. And that's what we are doing here at churchmilitant.com with our whole new website. It's totally refashioned with the latest and newest look and feel for effectively communicating the faith, news about the faith, information and context about what's going on in the world, and most importantly, inside the church, shining the light on anything that prevents people from coming to know and love the bride of Christ. As you might imagine, saying it like it is, putting it out there, ruffles the feathers of the more genteel, the more, shall we say, diplomatic, professional Catholic crowd. Their lace curtain approach, their don't upset people and make them feel uncomfortable tactics have accomplished nothing and actually are now standing in the way. This whole tone of the Catholic establishment must be defeated. It's worthless, wimpy, and whiny. It inspires nothing except indifference. The Church of Nice needs to get back to the gym and develop some muscles. In the meantime, we need to get about the business of the work of the great men like St. Francis de Sales and preach the hard truths, get in people's faces, confront the evil in the church, all of this despite being mocked and abandoned by the establishment Church of Nice gang. You know, no one in the world listens to them with their pudding mouth approach, so why should we? So welcome to the much ballyhooed and promised new churchmilitant.com. Please bookmark our site here, or even better, make it your homepage. Come to it frequently throughout the day for updates on news, analysis, commentary, most importantly, to tune into the premium channel and learn about the faith. Hundreds of hours of programming, completely faithful, 100% faithful to the magisterium of the one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. So scan around the page here, click on anything and everything that tickles your fancy. And while you're doing that, consider this. The work of men like St. Francis de Sales is being carried on by sites like this, ours and others. So please support our work with your prayers, your financial help, telling your friends and families all about us. God love you. I'm Michael Voris.